Hi guys, welcome to the show. And I'm gonna try and bring on Yash. And give me a second. Hi Yash. Hello? Hi Sahil. I'm just trying to bring on Yash here. One second, guys. And here comes Yash. So as you can see from the logo on the screen, hi Yash.
Hey Lloyd.
We're gonna start in with a wonderful thing that happened recently. And Netflix now has a show produced. It just started running about a week ago. A show produced by Vox, which really, the title says it all. It says Cricket Explained. Now, it basically gives a 17-minute explanation of the history and the laws of the game, and does a pretty good job with it. So we all can use this, and we all can direct people to this to get more of an insight into the game. One of the key things about it is that, well, first let me say that I have an involvement in it. The part where it explains bulletproof style, the laws of the game, or basically how the game is. I had a part in that explanation, and I kept it as simple as possible because I have a firm belief that the game is not the complicated thing that cricket people tend to make it. It's it's not brain surgery. I like to say it's not rocket science. So people can learn the rules just as anyone else. The key is to not throw all the rules at them all at once, Yash. It's just giving them the basics of the game to get them started, and they can always learn the rest as they go along. And that's something that cricketers tend not to do. And the old-fashioned way is to say that cricket is a complicated game. It's complicated, and the rules, Americans can't understand the rules, and things like that. That's all nonsense. So I was pleased to play that part in that. And in the special as well, there's Brian Lara, and he provided a perfect person to have on the show because he made all his records and he played mainly in Test cricket. Yet he has an appreciation for where the game has gone, T20, and understand its importance. And then as a foil, you have Stephen Fry. I believe he's a British comedian. He comes across as the old-fashioned part, and then in between you have uh, someone named Jared Kimber. Some of you may know is a writer and has done a movie called Death of a Gentleman. He sort of bridges the two. It was well produced, and like I said, I played a significant role in the explanation, the simple explanation of the game. So, have you had a chance to see it, Yash?
Yes, Lloyd. I personally feel it was a very well made documentary. That's a question that we come across a lot, especially when you're outside the subcontinent or outside the Commonwealth, where the game is so famous and so well viewed. We had people when I was in school at Carnegie Mellon. I had students around from different parts of the world. There were Brazilians, there were people from China, there were people like Americans themselves. They're like, "What's so much in this sport that you guys are so glued to the sets, even when you have so many assignments due at 12 in the night and it's 11:30 and then we're watching some game." I still remember it was Sachin Tendulkar's last game, the Test match retirement game, when he retired from all forms of cricket, and we streamed it live in an auditorium, and we had the auditorium filled with so many people. So just the love for the game, and then people are like, it's so difficult to know how the game is played. There are so many rules, it's complicated. And as you said, as you rightly said, it's not as complicated as it sounds. And this video that's been made is really well made. It gives you a brief of everything that the sport has to offer, be it the rules, the history, the passion, the fun, the entertainment, and the part that you mentioned that you had a role to play where there's a point bullet structure in which the game is explained. I think that's one of the best ways to explain any concept in general, especially a sport like cricket, because that's one way I was explained American football by one of my friends, and that's the only explanation that actually helped me really perceive the game, how it is played, rather than just somebody explaining it. So that's a good job on your part. Kudos to you for that, and very well made video. Definitely all the cricket community should share it with their peers, whether they follow cricket or not, because this might be the first step into the door.
Absolutely. And what's awesome about it, we all know now how popular Netflix is. I mean, just even the phrase Netflix and chill has become part of, the lexicon for society. And not just in the US, amazingly, it's worldwide. So to get this show on there, and it's just 17 minutes, so it's something that anybody, even not a fan, and we want people who are not fans to see this, can get into it. And it gives a little bit of a history of how the game now has three formats. Without being pedantic about it, it just gives, a quick explanation. And then with the bullet point explanation, like I said, I played a part in, that really can just help people grasp very quickly the essence of the game and take it from there. And I'll not, and I really dislike when cricket people talk about LBW, which Stephen Fry in there as the old-fashioned type of way brings it up. And I'm glad he was in it because he sort of illustrates the old or traditional way that cricket people tend to try to explain the game. They make it seem complicated. They start with LBW. It's an illustration of how to do it and how not to do it. So I'm really pleased with it. And thanks to Vox that produced the show for Netflix. And like I said, you said it as well, let everybody see that. And of course, at some point, if we get it able to share it on Facebook, we will as well. But just about everybody has access to Netflix, so go watch it. Now, and we'll be bringing that up constantly in the future because it's such a great show. So Netflix Cricket Explained is a new show. Watch it and tell everyone to watch it, guys. Now, another thing we wanted to talk about before we get to a couple of series that are going on, Yash, is that we just had the Canadian Global T20 in Canada. But now this year is the third year for the CPL in Florida. And of course, there's a bit of a difference this time. It's the Jamaica Talawas hosting these matches. So they were using our stadium that we use for nationals as sort of a second home field. West Indies is also going to be playing Bangladesh. And this brings up the point in that, I mean, to me, there are obvious benefits to cricket in the US. But let's talk about that. Tell us what you think are the benefits of these international and professional cricket happening in the US.
Sure. As you rightly said, it's obviously advantageous and there are benefits for this happening. But the way I looked at this is not just for cricket in the US, it's for just cricket in general. Coming to the US, expanding the sport in this region is definitely going to go a long way in development and the growth of the sport, the way ICC is looking to do it. Our sport, cricket in general, is played almost everywhere. We even heard about cricket being played on ice, right? Recently, we are currently a sport of multiple regions, but not really truly global, because internationally, inherently at an international level, we have been like really elite and conservative, and we haven't been expanding it to different countries. Imagine the recent FIFA World Cup, like a nation of 4.9 million people or 4.1 million people, that is Croatia, was in the final, but we had hundreds of millions of people around the world for some or the other reason wanting Croatia to beat France just because it's some other country that would win the World Cup, and FIFA gives that an option in its World Cup structure, which unfortunately right now we don't have it in cricket, but that's where the growth and the development of the game is going. So from that perspective, I think this is amazing. Cricket is like the second biggest sport in the world after soccer, but it still doesn't have a big presence in one of the biggest broadcast sponsorship franchise market in the world. So it's a pretty compelling argument from that perspective. Moreover, there is so much support just for cricket in this country. One of the best examples is our American college cricket. One organization for cricket in the US, we have more than 38,000 followers just on Facebook. That's the strength of the community in this country that really loves cricket. There are some amazing statistics that I actually captured. In 2014, Disney Sports Empire actually aired live cricket on one of its cable networks for the first time. And according to ESPN, 2.4 million viewers watched the telecast of the World T20 final, and 316,000 of them watched it through the official online channels. And the cricket's appeal to the US audience, or maybe the lack of appeal right now, can be endlessly discussed, debated. But America in general is a very sports loving country. It initially thought cricket is a very slow sport, where there was an argument, how can a game last for 5 days and yet fail to produce a winner? It's such a confusion. But with T20s coming in, being the shorter format of the game, just 3 hours, punctuated by big hits, high scoring, thumping music, cheerleaders, attracting party culture and large crowds, the traditionally longer forms, the confusion that they created can easily be removed, and Australia and the American audience can really enjoy this sport. The US draws like second highest number of visitors to the ICC website after India, which is a considerably large amount considering there's England, Australia, South Africa, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, all of them in the mix. So that's a very interesting statistics, because India is 70%, US is 15%, and everybody else is the other remaining 15%. So we have the market. It's just about time to tap the potential and get it. And cricket is not old to this country. It's not something which this country is not aware about. It's just a lost sport considering the history that we had prior to the Civil War. So I think these tournaments are definitely going to help. And the way ESPN has been putting out articles, and there have been talks in the press by the CEO of ESPN, they have a completely different audience in mind. It's not even just the inherent American population, but the growing cricket interested population, just by straight population growth and also through the immigration pattern, is on a big rise. There is a big and growing universe of people here. So there's a very nice line that I read recently. It said, a part of America's immigrant soul already loves cricket. So it might become a new American pastime, just like baseball is. But even if it doesn't, how does it matter how many people really watch baseball? So these tournaments will surely help the game in general and also provide a new sport to the country.
Well, you mentioned ESPN, and true, back in 2011, when they signed their first agreement, a 5-year, I think it was, with the ICC to broadcast ICC tournaments such as the T20 World Cup. One of the factors that played a significant role was the fact of its growth in American college cricket. Even Wisden acknowledged that there's an article in Wisden that talks about it and credits American college cricket growth as one of the factors that may have led to ESPN wanting to do that, apart from the fact that they were getting a lot of hits on their own website, Cricinfo, which they had bought. Now, in addition to that, they did ask me back then to assist them with promoting it through, of course, our college players and our college teams. And then in turn, they broadcast American college cricket in 2014. So, and by the way, they were always interested in broadcasting American college cricket going back to 2009. I just wanted to wait until I felt it was the right time before I agreed to them doing that. There were other factors. So absolutely, and you made another good point. Cricket being played in the U.S. at a professional level, like the Jamaica Tallawahs playing 3 matches in Florida, and then an international West Indies versus Bangladesh is not only beneficial to the US cricket, but world cricket, because it's expanding the market, which is extremely important. You cannot keep growing. Well, you can't be static and survive. You got to keep growing. And the economics of this is extremely important and something too often the cricket people tend not to place enough emphasis on. They say it's a sport. No, it's got to survive as a business and it has to grow as a business. Those are interesting numbers you mentioned, about 15%. I knew the US audience was second to India, but you gave some exact figures there. So that's pretty good. Now, so there's the direct benefit, of course, of people being able to watch the game live here, and
Mhm.
especially in the party atmosphere of the CPL. You know, they really bring back the old Caribbean carnival type atmosphere at cricket, which is absolutely something that's essential for the game. The social aspect enhances the game, and other people can try to do it, to one extent or another. But I believe people will agree that the Caribbean has its unique, way of doing it. It's a carnival atmosphere, and that can only help the game here and attract an audience even beyond cricket. As a matter of fact, I was coming off the plane from Toronto, and I handed one of the cards, the flyers about the matches on August 18th, 19th, and 22nd in Florida to one of the air hostesses, one of the flight attendants, and she said, "Oh, this looks exciting." I don't know if she knows anything about cricket or not, but it looked like a carnival type thing to her. So she said she might come with her girls, as she put it. So I said, that's exactly what we were looking for, attract audience. And we saw this, of course, with the IPL. The
Mhm.
IPL has attracted people beyond cricket to its fan base. And that's what the game needs to do. It's something I emphasize in American college cricket. I'm always telling the guys, we're not playing just for cricket people. We need to get out the word out there. So yeah, absolutely. These matches, again, West Indies is going to play Bangladesh August 4th and 5th. And then Jamaica Talawas are going to play on the 18th, 19th, and 22nd. Three different teams from um, Guyana, Trinidad, and Barbados CPL teams will play, and it'll be an exciting time. So it's a great time to look forward to in August for cricket in the United States. Now let's go over to a couple of the series that are happening. Which one do you want to cover first?
Let's cover the single game that happened today. It was the West Indies versus Bangladesh. Now that we have West Indies and Bangladesh coming to the US, we can start with that. The ODI series has started. The test match honors went to West Indies completely. They just cleaned, whitewashed Bangladesh. Bangladesh looked helpless, completely out of place. But as they say, the great teams always make a comeback. The good team did make a comeback today. Bangladesh won. It was a sweet victory. And the recipe was very simple, long trusted. There were guys with experience, the senior members in the team who put their hands up. The recipe was surrounded by a gritty and grinding 160 plus balls, 130 not out by Tamim Iqbal, well supported by Shakib. The first wicket fell for like 3 or 4 runs, I guess. The opener was out for zero. And then Shakib promoted himself up the order, came one down, batted for like 30 odd overs or more with Tamim Iqbal, put up a 207-run partnership. They were helped by West Indies, of course. There were 5 dropped catches. Chris Gale dropped 3 of them. Just seemed to be not in the right mood today. But unfortunately for West Indies, they dropped a lot of catches. And then it was completed by Mushfiqur Rahim, who scored a 10 ball 30 quick fire towards the end. What was interesting to see was the West Indies T20 specialist Andre Russell went for 31 runs in 2 overs towards the death, which definitely speaks volumes of death over bowling in one-day cricket. We've been talking a lot about it in our previous shows with the India-England series in the hindsight, but now this has come to the fore once again. Also, Jason Holder got hit for 22 runs in the 49th over. Imagine Bangladesh scoring 53 runs, 53 runs in the last 3 overs, which actually made the difference. And while batting, West Indies never kicked off. Evan Lewis started off well with a 6-over square leg of a pull, but got out early. Chris Gayle was uncharacteristic, 40 slow runs of 60 balls. And I think the batting order could have been better. Andre Russell, for me, when he bats for West Indies, bats way, way down the order. He comes in at 8. He's way more talented and has a much better skill set to deliver for the West Indies rather than coming in at number 8. Today, when he came
Yeah,
in at
that's pretty low.
that's too low for a batsman of his caliber. He came in at 8, and the situation was they were 141 for 5, 141 for 6, and then 151 for 7. And then Andre Russell was left with too much to do, running out of partners. And then he just has to go one way where he hits it out of the park. And the target was not a lot for a batsman of Andre Russell's caliber who can score at a strike rate of 160, 170 on a regular basis. If he builds his innings, the game was still in West Indies' favor till 35th over. On the Bangladesh side, what was pleasing to see personally for me was Mustafizur Rahman. I really found a lot of talent in that youngster when he came initially onto the scene, but somehow faded away with injuries, had a dismal IPL, something to totally forget about. But he came back good today, bowled at an economy rate of 4.5 around, and got 2 good wickets. He got a set batsman Hetmar for 52, and then bowled a good off-cutter to get another one. But the highlight for the day again were the senior people, Tamim Iqbal with a century and the captain Mashrafi Murtaza, who just flew in from Bangladesh considering the fact that his wife was ill, so he couldn't make it for the test matches. But he came back strong. The leadership helped with him coming back, making some bold moves. And of course, he took 4 wickets as a cherry on the cake.
Well, it also reveals what's wrong with uh, how matches are scheduled. Bangladesh is playing Test cricket with not much 4-day cricket or other, cricket like that. So they're good in ODIs, they're good in T20s, but it's a different game in Test cricket. And so that's where it goes back to the problem that was created by making it into two different types of games. And that's why I speak all the time about this leg side wide rule. That really has created two different games. So you can be a strong ODI game, team, you can be a strong T20 team, and when it comes to Test cricket, you're lost. In addition to the factor that you're not playing multi-day games, as so that's why they came across so badly in the tests, but they can perform well in the ODIs. So something has to change there. Now, the next series?
The next is the build up to the India versus England Test match series. This is the series that everybody in India, probably even in England, has been talking around for so long. It was initially tagged as Virat Kohli's series to prove himself. He's performed everywhere, gone crazy in Australia, scoring 4 centuries in 5 tests. But now can he perform in England? He had a terrible performance the last time he was here. But I think this series has much more to do than just Virat Kohli. The T20s went to India, the ODI series went to England. It's 1-1 overall, but this is a different ball game. As we all know, it's going to be a Red Duke's cherry, which is going to swing around. It's a long 5-match series. I love 5-match test series personally because they give you enough time to even come back in a test match series. Plus, they even test your endurance. It's a perfect test of all cricketing abilities, and I'm pretty sure you love 5-match test series too. The only concern
Oh,
here
yeah.
is it spans over only 6 weeks. 5 test matches over 6 weeks. Batsmen might find it okay, but it's going to be toiling on the bowlers, especially the seamers. And this is not just a challenge on India, but also on England. I think England face a bigger challenge in terms of the schedule. They have test match bowlers in Broad and Anderson who are not growing younger by the day. Also, they are coming back of an injury with Anderson coming back from a right shoulder injury and Broad coming from a left ankle ligament tear. The bench strength that they have is not very strong either because apart from Anderson and Broad, all they have is Jake Ball, Mark Wood, who is quick, but he also has a niggle in the left ankle. And then there is Chris Wokes, who is coming back from an injury. So something to think about. And this is typically always put forth as Indian batting versus English bowling. So that way English bowling is a little on the lower side. But Indians have their own issues on the batting front. They seem to have too many players with a lot of talent, but probably not everybody is sticking around for a longer period of time and delivering in Test match cricket. There are a lot of questions to answer. Are you going to start with Dhawan? If Dhawan plays as an opener, where does KL Rahul play or does he not play? Which will spin out another outpour of emotions from the fans, and the questioning on him being dropped in the third ODI was just a trailer then if he gets dropped in Test. If he comes in, will you play Pujara? Because if you play Pujara, then Rahane sits out, which doesn't seem to be the case because Rahane is already announced the vice captain. And then you come to the bowling end where you play Hardik Pandya at 7 as a seaming all-rounder, and then you have two spinners in Ashwin and Jadeja, and then you're left with two seamers. With Bhuvaneshwar and Bumrah out for the first test on injuries, I think Bhuvi is not even fit for the entire series. Bumrah will be available from the second test. So the first test, which actually sets the momentum for the series, India have a little to think about. They seem to be stronger on paper, but you never know what happens on the day. The summer in England has been favorable for India so far. It's been long, it's been dry, and it's been hot. If it stays this way through August, towards late August and early September, when the series ends, it's probably in favor of India with the pitches being dry and over a period of 5 days. It will it will turn, and Indians have Ashwin and Jadeja as their prime spinners who are one of the best in the world. And England don't really have a real spinner. Moeen Ali does chip in, but in Test match cricket he had a terrible winter against Australia and New Zealand, which are not even like the best sides against spin bowling. He got like 5 wickets in total, combining both the series, and they don't have any other spinner, be it a left arm spinner or a wrist spinner. And Indians have all right-handers except Shikhar Dhawan. So there is no spinner who can actually take the ball away from the right-hander, be it a left-arm spinner or a right-arm wrist spin. So that's something else to think about. In terms of batting, I know they did amazing in the ODI series, so their confidence would be buoyed up. But these are a new bunch of people. Cook comes back in. He looks solid in the game that he played for England A, but still he's making a comeback and he doesn't really have a stable partner. They tried with Stoneman in the past series, but he didn't show any resolute or confidence. So they have been trying Keaton Jennings, but again, he doesn't seem to be the class that Cook is. And usually in English conditions, if the openers can see off the new ball, it's a platform set for number 3, 4, 5, where Root comes in. Again, Root, great form, got 2 back-to-back centuries in 1 days, but he's got into a rut in the Test series recently. Last 15 tests, 13 50s, but only 1 century. He just doesn't seem to be able to convert these 50s into big hundreds, which he is very well known for. So a big tournament for him as well. Like for him at number 3 and Kohli at 4, this is going to be a big tournament for both of them to show their real class. So lots to look forward to. Seems to be an exciting series to me. Can't really say who's going to have the same, but the game in Birmingham, which is the first test, I think it's going to be one of the trendsetters for the series in general. So let's look out for that.
Thank you, Yash. And just a reminder to everyone that Cricket Zone is a key supporter of us, and you want your cricket equipment and trophies, just contact Ravi at Cricket Zone USA. You can find them on Facebook as well. And get your tickets for their CPL, August 18th, 19th, and 22nd at Central Broward Regional Park in Florida. There will be night games. And Bangladesh versus West Indies, August 4th and 5th. Again, there will be night games, so you'll be enjoying the new lights. There are new lights in the stadium, Yash, and they were excited to test the other day. And this is why the ICC can now approve international matches to be played there. So the West Indies versus Bangladesh will be the first under the new lights. And again, there'll be evening games, so you don't have to worry about the Florida heat. So come on down and have a great time.
Yep.
Take care. Have a good
Take
night.
care. Bye-bye. Good night.